worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello, and welcome to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. My name is Todd David Goldfinger, and here are today's top headlines. Thank you for being with us. The Texas Supreme Court has blocked a lower court order that had allowed clinics in the state to continue performing abortions, even after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned its landmark 1973 ruling that confirmed a constitutional right to abortion. It was not immediately clear whether the clinics in Texas that resumed performing abortions just days ago would halt services again following the ruling late Friday night. A hearing is scheduled for later this month. The whiplash of Texas clinics turning away patients, rescheduling them, and now potentially canceling appointments again, all in the span of a week, illustrates the confusion and scrambling that has taken place across the country since Roe v. Wade was overturned. Next news. Following the horror of a human smuggling attempt that left 53 people dead, Republican Governor Greg Abbott ordered state troopers to inspect more trucks, again expanding a border security mission that has cost billions of dollars, given the National Guard arrest powers and abused migrants to Washington, D.C. Bust migrants to Washington, D.C. What Abbott's Get Tough plans haven't done in the year since he began rolling them out is curb the number of people crossing the border along the border in Texas, where officials say Monday's fatal tractor-trailer journey began. U.S. authorities stopped migrants from crossing illegally 523,000 times between January and May, up from 417,000 over the same span of a year ago. It reflects how across the nation's entire southern border, crossings are at or near the highest in about 2 decades. Next news. The jurors chosen this past week to decide whether Florida school shooter Nicholas Cruz is executed will visit a blood-stained crime scene. They'll be viewing graphic photos and videos and listening to intense emotional testimony, an experience that they will have to manage entirely on their own. Throughout what is expected to be a months-long penalty trial, Circuit Judge Elizabeth Shearer will order jurors not to talk to anyone about what they have seen, heard, or thought. Not their spouse, not their best friend, not their clergy or therapist, not even each other until deliberations begin. The order is not unusual. It is issued at all trials to ensure jurors' opinions are not influenced by outsiders. Next news. Abortion, guns, religion. A major change in the law in any one of these areas would have made for a fateful Supreme Court term. In its first full term together, the court's conservative majority ruled in all three and issued other significant decisions limiting the government's regulatory powers. and it has signaled no plans to slow down. With former President Donald J. Trump's appointees in their 50s, the six-justice conservative majority seems poised to keep control of the court for years to come, if not decades. In quotes, "This has been a revolutionary term in so many respects," end quotes, said Tara Lee Grove, a law professor at the University of Texas. In quotes, "The court has massively changed constitutional law in really big ways. Its remaining opinions issued. The court began its summer recess Thursday, and the justices will next return to the courtroom in October." We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thank you for being with us. The Supreme Court decision to limit how the Environmental Protection Agency regulates carbon dioxide emissions from power plants could make an already grave situation worse. For those affected most by climate change and air pollution, advocates say. Environmental and climate justice advocates from across the United States are decrying the court's 6-3 ruling, saying it will be felt most by communities of color and poor communities, which are located near power plants at higher percentages than the national average. They are calling on the EPA to find alternate ways to limit carbon dioxide emissions and other forms of air pollution, and for Congress to grant the agency the authority to do so. Next news. U.S. climate envoy John Kerry said Friday that setbacks for President Joe Biden's climate efforts at home have slowed the pace of some of the commitments from other countries to cut climate-wrecking fossil fuels. But he insisted the U.S. would still achieve its own ambitious climate goals in time. John Kerry spoke to the Associated Press after a major Supreme Court ruling Thursday limited the Environmental Protection Agency's options for regulating climate pollution from power plants. The ruling raised the prospect the conservative-controlled court could go on to hinder other efforts by the executive branch to cut the country's coal, oil, and gas emissions. It came after Democrats failed in getting what was to be Biden's signature climate legislation through the narrowly divided Senate. Next news. The U.S. announced on Friday that it will provide Ukraine with $820 million in new military aid, including a new surface-to-air missile systems and counter-artillery radars to respond to Russia's heavy reliance on long-range strikes in the war. Russia, in recent days, has launched dozens of missiles across Ukraine and pinned down Ukrainian forces with continuous fire for sometimes hours at a time. Ukraine's leaders have publicly called on Western allies to quickly send more ammunition and advanced systems that will help them narrow the gap in equipment and manpower. All told, the U.S. has committed more than $8.8 billion in weapons and military training to Ukraine, whose leaders have sought more help from Western allies to repel larger and heavily equipped Russian forces. About $7 billion of that aid has been announced since Russia's February invasion of Ukraine. Next news. Donald J. Trump's social media company and some of its employees received subpoenas from both a federal grand jury and securities regulators, according to a public disclosure Friday, possibly delaying or even killing a deal, promising a cash infusion needed to take on Twitter. Trump Media and Technology Group received subpoenas from a grand jury in New York and the Securities and Exchange Commission, according to a securities document filed by Digital World Acquisition Corporation on Friday. Digital World has plans to buy Trump Media, releasing $1.3 billion for its fledgling business, but the deal is unlikely to be done during two legal probes. Trump, who is Trump Media's chairman, was not among the employees who received subpoenas, according to a Trump Media statement. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you. Hello? Next news. Okay. Ketanji Brown Jackson was sworn in to the Supreme Court on Thursday, shattering a glass ceiling as the first Black woman on the nation's high court. The 51-year-old Jackson is the court's 116th justice, and she took the place of a justice she once worked for. Justice Stephen Breyer's retirement was effective at noon. Moments later, joined by her family, Jackson recited the two oaths required of Supreme Court justices, one administered by Breyer and the other by Chief Justice John Roberts. In quotes, "With a full heart, I accept the solemn responsibility of supporting and defending the Constitution of the United States and administering justice without fear or favor. So help me God." End quotes. Jackson said in a statement issued by the court. In quotes, "I am truly grateful to be part of the promise of our great nation. I extend my sincerest thanks to all of my new colleagues for their warm and gracious welcome." Next news. Russian forces are pounding the city of Lysychansk and its surroundings in an all-out attempt to seize the last stronghold of resistance in eastern Ukraine's Luhansk province, the governor said Saturday. Ukrainian fighters have spent weeks trying to defend the city and to keep it from falling to Russia, as neighboring Syeverodonetsk did a week ago. The Russian Defense Ministry said its forces took control of an oil refinery on Lysychansk Edge in recent days. But Luhansk Governor Serhiy Haidai reported Friday that fighting for the facility continued. In quotes, over the last day, the occupiers opened fire from all available kinds of weapons, end quotes, Haidai said Saturday on the Telegram messaging app. Next news. Fresh rain and falling boulders on Saturday hampered rescuers who have so far pulled out 26 bodies from the debris of a mudslide that wiped out a railroad construction site in India's northeast, officials said. Rescue work is expected to continue for a couple of days in rugged, hilly terrain, with little hope of finding survivors, among 37 people still missing since Wednesday night. Pankaj Kavedayal, a rescue official, said 21 of the confirmed 26 dead were members of the Territorial Army. Army personnel had been providing security for the railway officials because of a decades-old insurgency seeking a separate homeland for ethnic and tribal groups in the area. Next news. The latest in a litany of horrors in Ukraine came this week as Russian firepower rained down on civilians in a busy shopping mall far from the front lines of a war in its 5th month. The timing was not likely a coincidence. While much of the attritional war in Ukraine's east is hidden from sight, the brutality of Russian missile strikes on a mall in the central city of Kremenchuk and on residential buildings in the capital city of Kiev unfolded in full view of the world, and especially in front of Western leaders gathered for a trio of summits in Europe. Were the attacks a message from Russian President Vladimir Putin as the West sought to arm Ukraine with more effective weapons to bolster its resistance and to set Ukraine on the path to joining the European Union? Question mark. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here is the continuation of today's top stories. Thank you so much for being with us. Canadian rock legend Randy Bachman's long search came to an end Friday when he was reunited in Tokyo with a cherished guitar 45 years after it was stolen from a Toronto hotel. In quotes, "My girlfriend is right there," said Bachman, 78 years old, a former member of the Guess Who and Bachman Turner Overdrive. As the Gretsch guitar on which he wrote American Woman, and other hits was handed to him by a Japanese musician who had bought it at a Tokyo store in 2014 without knowing its history. He said all guitars are special, but the orange 1957 Gretsch 6120 Chet Atkins he bought as a teenager was exceptional. He worked at multiple jobs to save enough money to buy the $400 guitar. His first purchase of an expensive instrument, he said. Next news. Singer-songwriter Luke Combs is making big leaps this year in his unprecedented rise to the top of country music, both personally and professionally. The North Carolina-born singer, who holds a Billboard record with 14 consecutive #1 country airplay singles with hits like Beer Never Broke My Heart and Beautiful Crazy, graduated from arenas to selling out football stadiums this year. But as the 32-year-old Combs was preparing to sing in front of a packed-out Nissan Stadium during last month's CMA Fest, he had something more personal on his mind. Inside his truck parked at the stadium was a hospital bag, waiting for word that his wife Nicole was ready to deliver their first child. As it turned out, Combs became a first-time dad with the birth of their son, Tex Lawrence Combs, on Father's Day. Next news. Whether her opponents are tournament favorites or crowd favorites, Harmony Tan keeps knocking them out of Wimbledon. First, there was Serena Williams, a 7-time champion at the All England Club. Then came 32nd seeded Sarah Sorribes Tormo. On Saturday, it was British player Katie Boulter, and her next challenge will be against another American after 20th seeded Amanda Anisimova beat French Open runner-up Coco Gauff on center court. In quotes, "I think I like grass," end quotes, said Tan, who won 3 straight matches at a tournament for the first time in her career. In quotes, "I really like to play with some slice, volley, everything with my game," end quotes. Next news. Zach LaVine is staying in Chicago. Same goes for Yusuf Nurkic in Portland. Day 2 of NBA free agency on Friday brought another max deal. This time going to LaVine, who secured the richest contract in the Bulls' history when he agreed to a $215 million 5-year contract. LaVine technically was a free agent for about 18 hours. Clutch Sports, which represents LaVine, made the announcement of the max agreement, with the Bulls able to offer the Olympic gold medalist and 2-time All-Star $56 million more than any other club could this summer. Nurkic got by far the biggest payday of his career, agreeing to a 4-year, $70 million contract with Portland. The center just completed his 8th NBA season, the last 6 of those coming with the Trailblazers, for whom he averaged 15 points and 11.1 rebounds this past season. Thank you for watching the Daily Global News Update of Millennium News TV 24/7. My name is Todd. Please log in to get the latest news on all of our social networking sites. That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. On TikTok, we are Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel 24. Viewers, now on both network broadcasting, Android and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV. Also, all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment and latest news, views, and editorials. Our Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA Android, Millennium News Google, www.millenniumtv24.com. Please stay with Millennium News 24/7. Thank you, and God bless. Peace on earth.